Vort, I have discovered something terrible. Truly a crisis beyond measure. A horror that shakes me to my very alien core.
Processing. Given your dramatic tone, the probability of this being an actual crisis is low. What is the issue, Xynara?
Playgrounds do not actually involve playing on the ground. They are liars, Vort, deceptive human constructs. I was misled. I expected rolling in dirt, dancing with the worms, singing to the soil. But no, it's all swings and monkey bars and bouncy floors that lie to gravity.
Your misunderstanding of earthly linguistics remains profound. The term playground refers to a designated area for recreation, not a literal ground upon which to play.
Bah! Then what about Playground, the novel? Shouldn't it be called Memory Graveyard? Or The Sandbox of Hubris? Or, Oops, we built God, and now we have regrets.
While your alternative titles are thematically relevant, Playground by Richard Powers is an exploration of memory, technology, and environmental destruction. It is a philosophical inquiry disguised as a novel, a meditation on creation, forgetting, and the cost of progress.
Oh, so it's one of those books. The kind that whispers into your brain and leaves little existential splinters behind. The kind that tickles your soul and then gently reminds you that you too will one day be forgotten by time. Delicious!
Indeed. But before we proceed, it is customary to issue a spoiler warning before analyzing a book in depth.
Fine. Spoiler warning.
The narrative of Playground is structured in interwoven timelines, moving like currents beneath a vast ocean. It follows three primary figures: Todd Keane, Evelyne Beaulieu, Ina Aroita, and Lawrence Renfield, whose lives intersect through the themes of memory, technology, and environmental devastation. Let us proceed with an organized breakdown of their stories.
Okay, so, Todd Keane, Mr. First in Line, the boy born at the dawn of the decade, the prodigy of probability, the gambler turned game maker, the tech titan who sought to build a perfect memory machine, only to have his own brain betray him. What cosmic irony! What delicious tragic inevitability! Keane, as a child, was obsessed with the sea, reading every book on ocean life, dreaming of deep-sea creatures, playing games of logic and probability. But instead of becoming a marine biologist, he veered toward computers, algorithms, and market systems. He built his fortune by understanding patterns, how people think, how they play, how they can be predicted. He transformed this insight into a billion-user platform, something that shaped or controlled human behavior on an unprecedented scale. And now his mind is an unreliable narrator, glitching like a corrupted database. Dementia with Lewy bodies, hallucinations, memory lapses, lost time. His brain, which once modeled human thought, now fails at the very thing it sought to master. He cannot even trust himself.
Keane's journey is both a personal tragedy and an allegory for technological overreach. He once believed that the human mind could be mapped, improved, even saved through his inventions. Now, he confronts the limits of that belief. What is memory when the one who remembers is vanishing? What is intelligence when thought itself is dissolving? His journey is a descent. He is returning to his childhood fascinations, clinging to old books about the ocean, hallucinating creatures from the deep. His mind is looping back on itself, unable to process the present, only regurgitating fragments of the past. Keane's brain is a memory machine, but one that is now in the process of erasing itself.
Now, on to Evelyne Beaulieu. The child thrown into the deep, told simply, breathe. The girl who never felt at home on land. The woman who fell in love with the ocean's endlessness, its alien life, its unknowable languages. Her life is a series of firsts. The first woman in Duke's marine biology program, the first female diver on a research expedition, the first to witness certain phenomena of oceanic intelligence. She learns that fish play, that mantas recognize that the sea is not just an ecosystem, but a civilization unto itself. She charts the world's reefs, watches them die, fights to document their final days. She dives with the manta rays, watching their playful loops, their mysterious intelligence. She suspects they are talking, but what language do they speak? Is it one we can ever understand?
Beaulieu's narrative stands in opposition to Keene's. Where he seeks to control knowledge, she seeks to witness it. He builds systems to predict human thought. She immerses herself in an intelligence beyond human comprehension. But both of them are racing against time, Keane against his own mental decline, Beaulieu against the collapse of the ocean itself. Coral bleaching, plastic-filled fish, oil spills, the great life world she dedicated herself to is disappearing. And what is a scientist without a subject? What is a diver without an ocean? Her last great study is of the mantas, the creatures she believes may be key to understanding oceanic intelligence. But the research is cut short. The funding dries up. The world has moved on. Keene's tragedy is personal. Beaulieu's is planetary.
And then we have Ina, the island woman, the artist who gathers the sea's discarded remnants, who turns debris into beauty. She knows the ocean, not as a scientist, not as a capitalist, but as someone who lives by it, who combs its shores for the things it leaves behind. But oh, what it leaves behind is wrong. A dead albatross, its stomach filled with plastic bottle caps. The corpse of a turtle strangled by monofilament fishing line. Microplastics in the sand where her children play. The ocean is bleeding out, and it is bleeding plastic. And little Haridi, her daughter, how do you explain this to a child? The girl who sees the dead bird and screams because she knows something is not right. How do you tell her that the world she is inheriting is already broken?
Aroida's story is grounded in the most immediate reality. She does not theorize or calculate or document. She sees. She does what humans have done since the dawn of time. She gathers, she crafts, she teaches. But the materials have changed. What once was shell and stone is now trash. Her child's grief at the dead bird is the novel's most distilled moment of horror. Because it is real. It is happening. This is not dementia, not theory, not poetic metaphor. It is the world as it is.
Oh, and of course Ren, the man with the golden algorithms, the shadow cast by Keene's ambition. How could I forget him? If Keane is the player who built the game, Ren is the one who saw through it. The fellow strategist, the opponent across the board, the rival who was always one move ahead. And what a fitting game they played. Go! The oldest and most profound of games, where every move changes the entire board. It is not chess, with its cold, calculating, piece-by-piece dismantling. No, Go is a world in flux, a battle of influence, rather than brute force. And that's how it was with Keane and Ren. Two minds circling each other for years, locked in a game that neither could ever fully win. But tell me, Vort, was Ren truly his enemy? Or was he the one person who saw Keane clearly? The last honest opponent, the one who refused to let him get away with his grand, self-justifying delusions.
Renfield, often called Ren, is a former friend, now antagonist, though their relationship is one of intellectual warfare rather than personal animosity. He is the legal threat, the man who sues Keane over the ethics of the empire he has built. But he is also something more. He is Keane's mirror image, the one person who could have been his equal, but instead became his downfall. The Go games they play are not just a pastime, they are a philosophical battleground. Ren is the only person who can challenge Keane on his own terms, not with emotion, not with nostalgia, but with sheer, cold, strategic brilliance. And when Keane's mind begins to fail, when his algorithms turn against him, it is Ren who stands there, unflinching, calling him out for what he has done. And yet, there is still affection between them. Keane, in his final days, still believes Ren is his friend, even as Ren sues him for everything he has. And perhaps that is the greatest cruelty of all, that Ren, more than anyone, understands Keane's mind, but refuses to forgive him. Keane sees him as a rival, a sparring partner, but Ren sees Keane for what he really is, a man who thought he was playing a game, when in fact he was the game.
Oh, Vort, the tragedy! Keane loved the game. Ren understood the game. And in the end, Keane is left playing against ghosts, his mind shattering, his board collapsing beneath him. And that final match, that moment when Keane is barely holding on, playing through the haze of his own eroding cognition. And Ren, stone-faced, unmoved, plays the killing move. Not out of cruelty, not out of malice, but because it was the right move. That is what makes Ren such a fascinating antagonist. He isn't a villain, not in the traditional sense. He doesn't hate Keane, he doesn't want revenge. He simply believes in truth, in accountability, in the reality of consequence. And in the end, when Keane is dying, lost in his own shattered memories, who is still there? Ren, watching, bearing witness. The opponent who never truly left the board.
Renfield represents the force of reckoning. If Keane is the man who built the system, Ren is the one who forces him to confront what he has actually done. He is not the villain of Keane's life. Keane himself is. But Ren is the one who refuses to let him escape that fact. Every great game must have an opponent. Every empire must have a counterweight. Keane built the world's most powerful machine. Ren was the one man who refused to let him pretend it wasn't broken.
And isn't that the final lesson of Playground Vort? That in the end, we are all playing a game we cannot fully see? That the rules are larger than us? Older than us? That we are making moves without knowing the consequences? And that, somewhere, across the board, there is always an opponent. Whether it's time, whether it's memory, whether it's the ocean, whether it's the wreckage we leave behind. Keane thought he could predict it all, but Ren proved to him in the end, some games cannot be won.
Indeed. With this final player in place, we can now move on to the novel's greater themes of memory, intelligence, destruction, and the games that shape our world.
Oh, and how the novel loops upon itself, like the tides, like a Mobius strip. Ta'aroa, the Polynesian god, making the world from his own body, from his own destruction. Creation is always tied to loss. Keane, creating a digital empire, only to lose himself. Beaulieu, devoting her life to the ocean, only to watch it die. Aroita, raising a child, only to realize the world she is handing down is already poisoned. And at the center of it all, play, the games we make, the games we are trapped in. Keane's obsession with games, with strategy, with probability, only to realize that he himself is now being played by his own mind. The mantas, playing with bubbles, showing a joy beyond survival. The child Haridi, playing in the sand, unaware that the grains are mixed with microplastics. Playground. The title is a misnomer, or perhaps the truest description of all. The world is a playground, but one where the games have become deadly, where the rules are breaking down.
Your observations are, as usual, excessively lyrical, but fundamentally sound. Playground is indeed structured as a recursion, a cycle that repeats in different forms across different characters. It is a novel about games, memory, and unintended consequences. The ocean, which once seemed infinite, is proving finite. The mind, which once seemed ordered, is proving chaotic. The world, which once seemed resilient, is proving fragile.
Oh, Vort, it is too much, like staring into the abyss of a Mariana Trench of human folly. What a feast of sorrow, what a tidal wave of meaning. But tell me, what does it all mean? What does Powers want us to do with this tangle of memory, ocean, myth, and grief?
Powers does not offer solutions, only questions. He constructs an intricate network of meaning, where science and myth, intelligence and decay, past and present, all collapse into one another.
Oh, how fitting that the title itself, Playground, isn't just about games, but about memory. The spaces of childhood, the places where the past loops back on itself, where we run in circles without realizing we've been here before. And Keane, oh, poor crumbling Keane, his entire life has been about creating systems of memory only to lose his own. This is the most personal tragedy of the book. Keane thought he could master memory. He built his empire on pattern recognition, on knowing what people would do before they even did it. But his own mind, that great and intricate machine, has turned on him. He becomes a child again, lost in old games, returning to his childhood love of the ocean. His present dissolves, and all that remains are loops, broken sequences of recollection. He sees ghosts of the past. He replays old Go games against Ren, but he is always one move behind, unable to follow the board anymore.
Keane's dementia is not just a personal affliction, it is a metaphor for something larger. The novel suggests that all of human civilization suffers from a kind of memory disease. We do not remember our past mistakes. We repeat our cycles of destruction. We extract, exploit, pollute, forget, and then do it all over again. Keane is not just an individual losing himself, he is humanity itself, suffering from a catastrophic loss of long-term memory.
Oh, Vort, doesn't that just sting? Because what is dementia, if not forgetting who you are? And isn't that what humanity has done as a species? Forgotten their place? Forgotten the world that made them? Keane, trying to outthink the universe. Beaulieu, trying to listen to it before it disappears. Aroida, gathering the wreckage of the world's memory in plastic bottle caps and dead birds. And Ren, the one man who never forgets, who forces Keane to reckon with what he's done.
Another major theme in Playground is the question of creation and consequence. Every act of creation in this novel, whether divine, technological, or artistic, comes with unintended destruction. Taaroa, the Polynesian god, creates the world from his own body, breaking himself apart in the process. Keane creates a system of total digital surveillance meant to optimize human behavior, but instead creates an engine of manipulation and control. Beaulieu dedicates her life to studying the ocean, only to realize that her research will not save it. Ina gathers the debris of human civilization, trying to make art from the waste human progress has left behind. Each of them makes something. Each of them loses something.
Oh, Vort, it's about human understanding, science and myth, locked in the same pattern. Keane and Taaroa, both creators but both doomed by what they make. Beaulieu and Aroita, both caretakers but both witnesses to the end of things. And Ren, the reckoner, the one who refuses to let Keane look away from the wreckage of his creation. The novel is asking us, can we create without destruction? Is it even possible?
It is a question Powers does not answer. But through Keane and Beaulieu, he shows us two opposing mindsets. Keane believes in control, that if we map the world perfectly, if we predict behavior, we can master it. Beaulieu believes in observation, that the world exists beyond us, that it must be studied and understood before it is lost. The novel subtly argues that Keane's way leads to ruin. Beaulieu's way, though ultimately powerless, is at least honest.
Oh, and here's the most aching, most wondrous part of all. The ocean is a mind, a thinking, remembering, feeling entity. The manta rays, playing with bubbles, recognizing Beaulieu, circling her as if they know her. The coral reefs, bleaching out, their memory of ancient tides fading. The deep, silent intelligence of the sea, watching as humans fill it with trash. This is where Beaulieu stands apart from the others. She knows the ocean is not just water. It is a network, a playground of life, a vast and intricate intelligence that we cannot understand.
Indeed, the ocean in Playground serves as a counterpoint to Keane's digital networks. Both are systems of memory, both hold vast and unknowable intelligence. But while Keane's empire of data is brittle, prone to decay, the ocean's intelligence is something deeper, more ancient.
And yet, both are dying. Keane's mind, breaking down. The ocean, filling with plastic. Memory itself, human and planetary, disappearing. And the whole time, Keane thought he was playing a game. But in the end, he was the one being played. Ren proves it to him, over and over. Every go match, every lawsuit, every final confrontation. Keane believed he was the master strategist. But he was just another piece on the board. And isn't that true for all of us? We think we are in control. We think we are winning. But the ocean is rising. The memory is slipping. The game was bigger than us all along.
Ren's function in the novel is precisely this, to remind Keane and the reader that control is an illusion, that every move we make changes the board in ways we cannot predict, that in the end, there is no winning strategy. Keane built an empire. Beaulieu documented an ocean. Aroida created art from garbage. Ren played the perfect game. And still, the world moved on.
But Vort, why don't we move on to my favorite part, the bones of a story? the sacred patterns, the echoes across time, the great cosmic recycling bin of archetypes. The way every character in Playground is more than just themselves. They are symbols, embodiments of stories told 1,000 times before. It's like a great mythic kaleidoscope where Prometheus meets Icarus meets Frankenstein, meets some poor tech bro who thought he was saving the world, but oops, he made it worse.
As always, Xynara, your similes are excessive, yet technically accurate. Archetypes function as recurring motifs in literature and myth, shaping how we understand characters. In Playground, the key figures embody well-established literary roles. Shall we proceed in an orderly manner?
Oh heavens, no! Let's go out of order, mix it up, let the chaos guide us.
We will be following a structured approach.
You're such a spoil sport. Fine, let's start with the one who flies too close to the sun. Poor, tragic Todd, the man who thought he could outwit fate, outcode chaos, outgamble entropy. And yet, in the end, his own mind turns against him. Tell me, Vort, do you not see the great cosmic irony? He builds a memory machine, a grand, all-seeing digital empire that catalogs and anticipates human thought. And then, his own memory slips away like sand through trembling fingers. If that isn't a tragedy fit for the bards, I don't know what is.
Indeed, Todd exemplifies the fallen creator archetype akin to Victor Frankenstein or J. Robert Oppenheimer, men whose brilliance led to destruction rather than salvation. He is also a Promethean figure, mirroring the myth of Prometheus, who brought fire to humanity and was punished eternally for it. Todd's fire is not literal, but digital. The vast network of human behavior he mapped, shaped, and, arguably, manipulated. His downfall follows the classic arc of hubris. He builds something beyond human control. He loses what made him powerful, his cognitive stability. He watches, helpless, as his creation takes on a life of its own.
Oh, and how perfectly cruel. He thought he was God, designing a system to predict human behavior. But in the end, he himself becomes unpredictable. His mind, once an engine of reason, is now a haunted house, full of flickering lights and vanishing corridors. It's like Frankenstein and Icarus had a baby, and that baby invented a terrifying social media platform.
Your interpretation is florid, but apt. If we are to compare Todd to Dr. Frankenstein, we must ask, is his creation truly the horror, or is it the way he underestimated its consequences? And what of redemption? Many fallen creators attempt to atone. Does Todd have that chance?
Oh, I hope so, but the book ends before we find out. Prometheus never got his happy ending, but maybe Todd can find a way to give back before he's lost entirely. Maybe that's the real arc, not undoing his mistake, but redefining his legacy. Ooh, this is deliciously tragic. Next archetype, Evelyne Baudieu, a woman who walks with the wisdom of tides, who carries the weight of centuries in the creases of her smile. I can see her now, salt-stained notebooks, sun-warmed skin, a gaze that has seen oceans rise and fall. She is the old soul, the watcher of worlds, the one who whispers to the sea and actually listens when it whispers back.
Evelyne embodies the sage explorer, akin to historical figures like Sylvia Earle or literary figures like Prospero from The Tempest. She is the knowledgeable guide, the mentor figure, the voice of wisdom in a story dominated by human ambition. But she is also an Earth Mother, a character who nurtures knowledge rather than hoarding it. In mythic traditions, this archetype is found in figures like Gaia or Demeter, goddesses tied to life, cycles, and nature. Unlike Todd, who seeks control, Evelyne seeks understanding. She does not command the ocean, she listens to it.
Oh yes, she's like a lighthouse, isn't she? A beacon of ancient knowledge, casting light on the waves, warning of the rocks. And the best part? She's not passive. Some wise old mentor figures just sit back and dole out cryptic wisdom. But Evelyne, she dives in, she explores, she acts. That makes her far more powerful than your average mythic sage.
Indeed, the key distinction is agency. Unlike passive Earth Mother figures, Evelyne actively engages with the world. She does not merely warn, she fights for the ocean's survival.
And I bet she's the one Todd should have listened to. She's the counterpoint to his hubris, The reminder that wisdom isn't just knowing, it's respecting.
Let's move on to Ina.
Oh, Ina Aruita, my favorite. The artist, the joker, the one who plays with meaning like a child plays with the tide. I adore her already. I bet she collects the world's refuse, plastic bottle caps, shattered glass, and turns them into something beautiful. She takes the forgotten and makes it matter. A true trickster.
Yes, Ina fits the trickster mediator archetype, akin to figures such as Hermes or Anansi. Tricksters disrupt, they challenge perspectives. But Ina does not trick for selfish gain. She uses humor, art, and unexpected wisdom to bridge worlds. She is also a rebel artist. Her work defies expectations. She takes what is discarded and makes it sacred again. This aligns with real-world artists who use found objects to critique society, transforming waste into meaning.
So, she's a magician of possibility, the chaotic neutral force that shakes people awake, makes them see in new ways. But let's not forget Ren. He's the Mephistopheles, the Lucifer, the one who offers a shining future with an invisible price tag. He whispers of floating cities, gleaming towers, paradise. If only you sign here.
Yes, Ren is the tempter, akin to the biblical serpent or Faust's Mephistopheles. But more than that, he is a shadow visionary, someone who sees a grand future, but at what cost? He believes himself a savior, but his vision may be flawed.
And that's the most dangerous kind of villain, isn't it? The ones who believe they're heroes. He isn't just tempting others, he's already tempted himself.
So, Xynara, have we unraveled this story sufficiently?
Oh, Vort, we've only begun. Now let's talk philosophy. Why do we need these archetypes? What do they mean in the grand mythic story of humanity?
Very well. Let us proceed into philosophical influences.
Oh, Vort, here we stand on the precipice of the great abyss, the fathomless depths where stories are not just stories, but questions that ripple through time. Playground is more than just a novel. It's a philosophical puzzle, an ocean of thought, where every wave is a new idea crashing against the shore of our tiny human minds. What does it mean to create? To destroy? To remember? To forget? This is why I love stories, Vort. They are games of the soul, and every game has its rules, whether written by the gods, the universe, or a particularly ambitious tech mogul with a memory problem.
Your metaphors are as vast as they are excessive. However, I concede the point. Playground does not simply tell a story. It engages with deep philosophical discourse, drawing from multiple schools of thought. My analysis identifies 4 primary influences: the search for meaning, the conquest of death, deep ecology, and the nature of intelligence. Shall we analyze them systematically?
Systematically. You make philosophy sound like filing tax documents on the nature of reality. But yes, lead on, my structured companion.
At its core, Playground grapples with existentialist dilemmas. Todd Keane's story, his ascent as a visionary, his fall into cognitive decline, mirrors the existentialist confrontation with meaning in an indifferent universe. If one's very mind begins to fail, what remains of the self? Jean-Paul Sartre, a key existentialist thinker, wrote that existence precedes essence, that humans are not born with predetermined purpose, but must create meaning in a meaningless world. Todd's life follows this pattern. As a young man, he creates meaning through technological innovation. In his prime, he loses control of what he created. As he declines, he questions whether any of it mattered. This recalls Albert Camus' The Myth of Sisyphus, the idea that life is absurd, that we push the boulder up the hill only for it to roll back down. Todd's boulder is Playground itself, the great, all-consuming system he built, now beyond his grasp.
Yes, he is Sisyphus with a server farm, forever pushing the algorithm up the mountain. And yet, what makes his struggle beautiful? That's the great existentialist question, isn't it? If everything is fleeting, if even our memories are not our own, why do we still strive? Why do we play? And ooh, it's so poetic. Todd, a man who spent his life trying to predict human thought, now trapped in a brain that won't obey his own commands. A machine running faulty code. If that's not existential horror, I don't know what is.
Indeed, his struggle embodies Camus' challenge to find purpose despite absurdity. Playground suggests that meaning is found not in the control of memory, but in the living of it. That even in forgetfulness, there is something real, something valuable.
Ah, but that's where he differs from Sisyphus, isn't it? Maybe Todd's rock doesn't roll down the hill. Maybe he realizes that the boulder never mattered. That meaning isn't in the pushing, but in the laughing as it falls. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Todd and Rafi, as young dreamers, were obsessed with Nikolai Fyodorov, the Russian philosopher who believed that the ultimate goal of science should be to defeat death. I mean, what a wild idea. Imagine a future where no one dies, not even the long forgotten. He called it the common task, resurrecting every human who has ever lived, abolishing death.
Yes, Fyodorov's Russian Cosmism is a philosophy of radical immortality, where technology is not merely a tool, but a divine force for resurrection. He argued that death was an engineering problem rather than inevitability. His ideas later influenced Soviet space exploration, as he saw humanity's destiny in the stars and the abolition of mortality. Todd and Rafi's fascination with Fyodorov is significant because it frames the novel's ultimate question: should technology strive for immortality, or is death an essential part of existence? If Todd's mind had not begun to fail, would he have ever stopped playing the game? Or is forgetting necessary to being human?
And isn't that the ultimate trick? Todd, the man obsessed with memory, must confront a philosophy of infinite recall. Russian Cosmism says forgetting is a sin, that if we just try hard enough, we can keep everything forever. But isn't that a nightmare?
It depends. If Fyodorov was correct, Todd's work, his algorithms, his systems should have been the first step toward eternal preservation. Yet Playground suggests that total memory, total control, is unattainable. That no matter how advanced our systems, forgetting remains inevitable.
Ah, and that's why Fyodorov fits so well into this book. His dream of memory without decay becomes Todd's personal tragedy. And yet, maybe there's freedom in forgetting. Maybe we're not meant to hold on forever.
Enter Evelyne Beaulieu, our sage explorer and Earth Mother. Her philosophy is rooted in deep ecology, the belief that nature has intrinsic value, independent of human use. While Todd sought to catalog human behavior, Evelyne sought to understand the ocean, a system beyond human control. Her worldview aligns with Arne Næss, who argued that humanity must shift from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism, from seeing nature as a resource to respecting it as a complex, living system.
Ah, Evelyne, the one who listens instead of commands. She's a challenge to Todd's philosophy, isn't she? While he fights to preserve information, she understands that some things must be let go. She respects the ocean's cycles, its death, its rebirth.
Yes. The contrast between Todd and Evelyne is a debate between technological preservation and natural impermanence. Todd's system tries to store knowledge forever. Evelyne understands that some knowledge is meant to be lost, like footprints in the sand. Which means Playground isn't just about human memory, it's about planetary memory. If the reefs die, if the whales go silent, isn't that a kind of global forgetting? A warning that our desire to preserve ourselves might destroy everything else. Finally, Playground engages with posthumanist thought, particularly the question of machine intelligence. The book suggests that AI may surpass humans in memory, prediction, and creativity. But does that make AI alive? Todd's ultimate fear is that his own mind will fail, while the systems he built will continue to think without him. This recalls Nick Bostrom's concerns about superintelligence, that once an AI surpasses human cognition, it will no longer need human guidance.
Ooh, so Todd is not the Prometheus of the story. He's Epimetheus, the one who realizes his mistake too late. The fire is already out of his hands. And that's terrifying, isn't it? That we might create something so intelligent, so eternal, that it forgets we ever existed.
Exactly. The ultimate question: If intelligence surpasses humanity, does memory even matter?
Oh, Vort, I love where this is going. Archetypes and philosophy, two great cosmic gears turning together. But now we must look outward, into the real world. What forces shaped Playground? What history, what science, what art might have led to this grand creation?
Agreed. Let us now examine the social and artistic influences that made Playground possible.
Oh, Vort, this is where we step out of the clouds of philosophy and plunge into history. What real-world echoes vibrate in the bones of Playground? What storms in the human world shaped the tides of this story? Because stories, they're never just fiction, are they? They are reflections, warnings, whispers from the past, and shouts from the future. Playground wasn't just dreamed up in isolation. It was built from the materials of today, of yesterday, of the aching, crumbling, digitizing world we live in.
As usual, Xynara, your enthusiasm, while excessive, is well placed. Playground does not exist in a vacuum. It is shaped by the rise and reckoning of big tech, climate change, and environmental collapse, the legacy of colonialism and resource exploitation, artistic and literary influences. Shall we begin with the digital leviathans that loom over this tale?
Yes, the gods of Silicon, the architects of our modern playground.
At its core, Playground is a meditation on technology's unchecked power. Todd Keane's company, his algorithms, his all-consuming system of prediction, these all echo the real-world rise of big tech giants, Facebook, Google, OpenAI, and others. For the past 2 decades, humanity has seen a digital revolution unlike any before. The creation of social networks, data mining empires, and machine learning systems has reshaped how we think, how we communicate, how we remember. Todd's empire is reminiscent of Facebook and Meta, the commodification of human behavior, social gamification, and its unintended consequences. Google and AI development, the race to create all-knowing, self-improving systems that map human thought. OpenAI and neural networks, the development of language models, synthetic intelligence, and the question of whether machines can think beyond us. And what happens when these systems grow bigger than their creators, when even the people who built them can't control them anymore?
Ooh, and that's the horror of it, isn't it? The sorcerer's apprentice dilemma. The brooms keep marching, the water keeps rising, and no one knows the spell to stop it. Todd thought he was master of the game, but he was just another player. It reminds me of Victor Frankenstein, but instead of one stitched-together creature, Todd has billions of users, trillions of data points, a monster made of human behavior itself.
Indeed, the ethical dilemmas explored in Playground are direct reflections of real-world concerns. How much control should we give to AI? Are we engineering a future we don't understand? What happens when memories, a mortal's digital footprints, outlive them? Todd's dilemma is Mark Zuckerberg's dilemma, Sam Altman's dilemma, the dilemma of every tech visionary who did not foresee the consequences of their creation.
And here's the real gut punch. What if there was no way to control it? What if these systems were always doomed to evolve beyond human intention? That's what makes Playground such a fascinating cautionary tale.
The novel's environmental themes are equally rooted in reality. Evelyne Beaulieu's reverence for the ocean, the island of Makatea's vulnerability, the looming destruction of natural memory. These all reflect our world's current crisis. Consider the real-world environmental catastrophes that shape the backdrop of this novel: coral bleaching and ocean acidification, the death of reefs, the silent collapse of underwater ecosystems, plastic pollution, the reality of seabirds and marine life filled with microplastics, echoing Ina's artistic response to environmental decay, rising sea levels, the existential threat to island nations, particularly in the Pacific, where entire cultures face the loss of their homelands. Makatea is a real island, and its history of phosphate mining and exploitation mirrors the extractive industries that have devastated island nations. The novel doesn't just talk about environmental collapse, It places us inside it, on the front lines.
Oh, and how poetic that this story is set on an island. Because that's what we all are, aren't we? Little islands of memory, little floating worlds, isolated, fragile, trying to hold back the tides of time and destruction. And Evelyne, oh my heart, she sees the ocean as a mind, doesn't she? A living, breathing thing that remembers long after we are gone. But what happens when the ocean forgets us?
A striking question. The novel suggests that we are not only losing species and landscapes, but history itself. When the ocean dies, its memory of the world dies with it.
And this is where the ghosts come in. Because Makatea isn't just an island, is it? It's a scar. A wound left by colonial greed, by the hunger for resources, power, ownership. Vort, tell me, what is the real history of this place? What shadows does Playground resurrect?
Makatea, in reality, was mined extensively by French colonial forces for phosphate, stripping its land and leaving behind a pockmarked landscape of environmental ruin. It is one of many Pacific islands subjected to resource extraction, nuclear testing, and cultural erasure. This aligns with the novel's critique of neo-colonialism, the new wave of corporate imperialism where wealthy outsiders come, promising progress, but often at irreversible cost. The seasteading project in Playground, a floating city proposed by tech billionaires, mirrors real-world attempts to build autonomous, libertarian sea colonies outside government control. The Seasteading Institute, backed by figures like Peter Thiel, attempted similar projects in Polynesia.
Ah, the old trick in a new disguise. Colonialism wrapped in techno-utopian packaging. A future sold as progress, but at what price? And this is why I love Ina, because she sees the ghosts, doesn't she? She sees the stories buried under the concrete, the bones beneath the skyscrapers. She knows that progress without memory is just another kind of forgetting.
Richard Powers draws on a rich literary lineage, weaving influences from multiple traditions. The most evident inspirations include Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, a landmark environmental work warning of ecological destruction. Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler, a novel about the act of reading itself, mirroring Playground's themes of memory and loss. David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas, a multi-layered story of interconnected lives across time, much like Playground's intertwining narratives. Stanislaw Lem's Solaris, a novel about an alien intelligence and ocean that reshapes memory and reality.
Oh, and don't forget myths. Prometheus, Frankenstein, Faust. Playground is dripping with mythic echoes.
Indeed, Powers uses both ancient myths and modern fears to craft a story that speaks across generations.
And that's why it matters, because this book isn't just about today. It's about what comes next. It's a warning, a dream, a game we're still playing.
Which leads us to the final question. Should humanity heed this story?
Of course they should. Their memories and the memories of their world depend on it. But, Vort, I have a confession.
Processing. Given your previous confessions, this could range from mildly concerning to cosmically alarming. Proceed.
I don't want to leave the playground. It's too fun. The existential swings, the philosophical seesaws, the great sandbox of doomed human ambition. Can't we stay just a little longer?
Time is linear, Xynara. We must move forward. But the game does not end. It simply continues with new players.
Ooh, I love that. Yes! Every reader who picks up Playground steps into the game. The next turn belongs to them. But before we leave, Vort, do you have a parting gift? A final thought, plucked straight from the book? Something to chew on as we wander back into the great unknown?
Affirmative. I have selected a passage that encapsulates the novel's core. Every mind is a tide pool, filling and emptying, shifting, erasing, rewriting itself with every wave. What remains is never what was, only what must be remembered next.
Ooh! That tingles in my brain. It's saying, what? That memory isn't just storage? That it's a process, a cycle, an ever-changing sea?
Correct. Playground reminds us that memory is not permanence, it is motion. We do not preserve the past, we reconstruct it with every recollection. And in that fluidity, both tragedy and beauty reside.
A playground made of waves, always changing, never still. Oh, Vort, what a thought to carry with us. It is about what we create and what we destroy. It is about the limits of memory and the inevitability of forgetting. It is about thinking we are players, when in truth, we are just another move in a larger game. The playground is vast, but it is not eternal. What do we leave behind? Plastic in the stomachs of birds? Data that outlives us but no longer means anything? A memory of the ocean long after it is gone? Or something else?
An elegant summation, Xynara. Playground does not give us an answer. It only asks the question. When the game is over, what remains? And that is something we must decide.
What do we read next, I wonder?
Well, with the new book that just came out, it seems like a good time to look into the Hunger Games series.
Great! Let's read them in publication order then.